All right, good day, everybody. This is Marcel Pursuit, and welcome to another edition of the Original Free Kick. In this edition, we will be playing the press conference of Atlanta United manager Gonzalo Pineda as the team prepares to face Chicago. And we are recording this on April 26, 2024. Hope you're doing well out there. And as always, to follow everything that we do, head to the mothership, to sportsinquirer.net, premier site for news and notes in the world of sports. You can also go to our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and more, and look us up under the Sports Inquirer or Sports Inquirer. You can also go to look up our name under Marcel Pursuit. And then finally, the follow, listen, subscribe, share, love everything that we do. Make sure you go to our various platforms on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and much more. And we are looking to get to our 1,000 subscriber goal. And you can, if you're listening, you hear me talk about it. But if you're watching, you can see us, subscribe, and share. Those are really great ways to support what we're doing, and that's just something that we're striving for and driving for. In this edition of the Original Free Kick, as I mentioned, we were able to attend the press conference of Atlanta United manager Gonzalo Pineda as the team prepares to face Chicago on the road on April 27th. Topics that he discusses includes an injury update on a variety of players, the team looking to rebound from its home loss to Cincinnati last week, the announcement of a new director of methodology, and much more. So let's get right to the press conference. Enjoy.
Jonde out there today?
Yeah, he's out for the game. So yeah.
Did he suffer a reoccurrence of the injury?
It's more he was stretching in one action. So you remember one action blocking across from DeAndre, and he felt some discomfort. So we'll be cautious with that. He's out for this game. We'll see this.
Okay. And Steen, is he fully cleared or is he questionable?
No, he's been training. Today he was modified, but he's been training the whole week, modifying a couple of sessions, so I think he will have some involvement in the games.
Gigi was just talking about, at some point, you being perhaps more vocal with the team about some mistakes or about accountability. I was curious if you wanted to share any of that, and was it by design, or was it simply a truly instantaneous reaction?
No, I think we needed firm in certain messages that we need to address with the players. I understand the difficulties of playing football. I was a footballer for many years, so I understand how difficult it is to be in those environments and do all the right things at the right time. And you have to respect opponents, you have to respect the game, and how difficult it is to be a footballer in general. So I'm not that big, I don't put that amount of criticism on them because I understand the difficulties. But at the same time, when we have certain principles or certain things that have to be done, and when you lose 5 points out of 6 at home, of course you have to send a message. And I think it was the right one. It was more on the film the other day, that right after the game, I'm trying to be less emotional after the game, so my speeches are a bit shorter after the match. And when we do the film review, that's where we address certain things. And I was maybe a bit more than normal, but I think the whole coaching staff tries to be very clear in the demands of the team. We want to have clarity in most of the actions, whether we're attacking or defending. There is a clarity in what we try to do, and then we just put that demands on the players. So I can understand, but I think it was needed. When you lose 5 points out of 6, you need to address a few things.
Gigi said he liked it for what it's worth.
I know they like it. I know they like it. I know players want clarity. Players want to understand exactly what the coach wants from them, because then there's no uncertainty. There's no worse thing in football that you go on the game and then you are with the first time ball on your feet and you know what I do now. That's not a good situation. We want to give them a lot of clarity on, and try as much as we can in each situation what are the principles that apply in that situation, right? And then the decision making comes, and that's what we're addressing mostly, is the decision making. Because technically they're good. Tactically, I think pretty much they understand. But it's the decision making, offensively, defensively, situations, what we are addressing with them, and I think they're getting the message.
The team announced a director of methodology earlier this week, Javier. Yeah, I know y'all go back a little bit, but I was curious your impressions of him and how he's going to help the franchise.
Very good. The first impression was amazing. I mean, we knew each other because the first year I was here, we played against his team in Toronto twice, one at home, one away, and so we knew each other. But of course, we talked a little bit last week. This week, yeah, last week or this week, we talked a little bit, and by a little bit, I have to say 4 hours and a half. We started to talk about football, and we didn't stop, so we were here until 8:30 p.m. Just talking on the tactical board and methodology and tactics and all these things. Just talking about football, and I love those conversations. So every time I can have a person that is as intelligent and as understands football at that degree, I want to have as many conversations as I can, because we both learn, we both share opinions and things. So it's been amazing for me. So I hope we can be very well integrated. I hope we can work together. I hope we can do great things. I think the foundation of the academies are great, but I think he can add a couple more value things to add to the methodology in the academies, and hopefully produce even more players to the first team and better prepared. So I think it's a great signing, and I hope the best for Javier. I wish him the best.
Coach, you actually, Yogamaki said that the change in tone from you was needed. He also said that more experienced players need to give more, demand more, and essentially saying they deserve more, should take on more accountability. What are your thoughts on that? And you mentioned that you were a player. Not only were you a professional, but you played in MLS, so you understand, like, sometimes players have to manufacture the high stakes because there's no relegation, it's a different culture. Is that some part of your job? Do you feel like you have to provide the necessary pressure on these players? Look at the facilities they play for a great club, they play for a great fan base. Do you have to work on them not getting too comfortable and understanding what's at stake?
Yeah, probably that could be my job if I feel like they are not feeling enough pressure, or they are not motivated to do things. But that's not what I perceive. So if I notice that, yes, I have to probably add pressure. But I don't see that. I see they have some inner pressure, which is the best one, and is the demands for themselves is really high. I really see that. So I don't think that's the issue. It's more, again, I don't judge them. It's really hard. Who can judge the players? Who can judge a player like Thiago about a bad pass or a bad decision? He's a fantastic player. Many of people living in Atlanta can do anything better than Thiago. No one. Probably Thiago is the only one person living in Atlanta that can do as good as he does. So who can judge him? For me, it's more guide him and trying to give him tools and situations where he can see the bigger picture and make a better decision. Is create an awareness for my players on, guys, in this situation, what the play was demanding from us? Was that shooting? Was that passing? Was that keeping possession? Was that creating a chance as fast as possible? Was that just going to the corner to spend a couple of seconds on the ball? Was that kicking a long ball? Was that playing short? So out of the situation that is presented in front of us, what is the best decision that we can make? And that is what my job is. I feel like putting them on film, putting them on the tactical board, and tell them, okay, this is going to be the situation we're going to see more often than not, and this is how I think we can solve it. Do you guys see something different? Because these are the options. After that, the decision making based on what the opponent do. If the winger jumps on you, this is the situation. If the 9 comes to you, this is the situation. If the center back tries to be aggressive, how we can explore this space in hand. So making them aware of those situations, offensively and defensively, I hope translates into them they making their decisions. So that's my job. But when it comes not just to that, but also managing the game, I have to be more vocal, because again, I feel like we lost 5 points out of 6. That could have had us in top in the league and in the conference. So yes, I was a bit maybe more firm. I would call it not aggressive, but firm, and addressing things. And And yeah, but again, it's not my style. I don't want to be here a dictator or anything like that. I'm firm when I have to be, but I'm understandable when I have to be understandable. And, you know, um, my job is to keep them to succeed. That's my job.
And your thoughts on Gigi saying more experienced players need to take on more? I mean, it's of course he's like a captain. He's going to say that, but still.
Of course, and it's good when it comes to the players. You can see there that he's not comfortable, that he doesn't need to be pressed. He knows, and the sad thing is, again, some of the senior guys that we have, not senior but experienced players, haven't been in the field recently. Stian, Derek, Gigi, Shan, they haven't been in the field the last couple. And the performance hasn't dropped. The performance has been very similar. But of course, in those little details, in terms of vocal leadership, in terms of managing situations, yes, we were lacking a little bit. Maybe that was the difference against Philadelphia and Cincinnati. Maybe that was the little difference and piece of experience that we were lacking again against two of the top teams in the league. So I agree with him a little bit. Yeah, the experienced guys, they need to be a bit more vocal. Yes, we address that there. So they know. That's what I said. I don't need to put more pressure on them. They want to succeed. They want to do great. They are fully committed. I noticed that. If I don't, I would be telling you something different.
So it's the fundamentals of play that you use for accountability, not necessarily individual mistakes. Is that accurate?
Yes, it's accountability that we must have. At times I have to address individual mistakes. At times because there are big mistakes. At times I have to address more the principles of those mistakes, and whoever is in that situation doesn't replicate those mistakes. So at times it's team mistakes or unit mistakes, and that's what we are addressing. And as coaches, we are always looking for the perfection. We are always looking for the excellence. Even in a game where we have won 4-0, 4-1, 5 something, we want to improve in certain things, whether it's keeping the clean sheet or minimize the clear chances of the opponent, or create more goals, create more situations, doing better in set pieces. There's always something that you can improve, and is that process what we love. It's an endless process of improvement and trying to aim for excellence or perfection in some of your games. So we're in that quest.
You mentioned picking your spots on when to be firm, and I know there's that balancing act of putting your arm around the player, being firm, being clear. Is that evolved for you? Is that something that you kind of had an idea of how you wanted to be as a manager when you walked in the door, and it stayed true, or has it evolved over your time here?
No, probably both. I already know who I am as a coach and who I want to be, but I continue learning. Adapting to certain situations, and every situation is different, right? No one teaches you in the coaching license that we do situations that happen on the field with certain players or attitude or certain things that at some point you have to say as a coach, enough is enough, and I'm a nice guy. I try to treat everyone in a good way. At some point, enough is enough, but it's also not my way. I don't want to be again a dictator, and they feel like in a prison when I'm put a lot of rules. I want them to feel comfortable here, trying and creating also a system. The other day, my coaches were making me aware of that, a system where no one is afraid of making a mistake. Because when you are panicking and the coach is gonna shout at me because I make a mistake, now I don't want to make it. I'm gonna play the easiest pass, and at times the easiest pass is the worst pass. It's the one that is gonna put us under pressure, and at times it's the logical pass what we have to see. What is the play that the game demands? But we have to create a system where we are allowing players to take certain risks, calculated risks to beat the opponent. We cannot be in a system where they're afraid to make mistakes, because that is worse.
And he faced Chicago on Saturday, a team that's having its own struggles. What about the matchup coming up, going up to Chicago and facing the Fire?
Well, number one, there are no easy matches in MLS. It's always difficult to play in that stadium. At times it's windy. It can be windy again. We saw what happened with Montreal in that crazy goal from Acosta. The wind can be a factor, so we need to be aware of that. They have very good players. I think they have a very good coaching staff that prepares them for fighting, for competing at a high level. They have some absences, or they may have some absences. They suffer 4 injured players players in the same game. The last one, one in the warm-ups, and then one at halftime, one in the first half, one in the second half. So they may have a couple issues to I don't know, they're going to have a number 10, they're going to have winger, they're going to have double 9. So there are some questions they have to answer. But it's going to be difficult because I know their coach wants to compete. He's a tough competitor and always puts his teams to fight to compete at a high level, especially being at home. So I think Frank Lopez is going to do a good job at rebuilding that confidence and trying to go against us with everything they have. So I have to prepare my players for the best possible Chicago, and I think the players are ready.
Just last one for me. It's an obvious question, but after everything we've just discussed, the change of tone, the accountability, what are you expecting against Chicago?
Well, it's always the process we have. You expect to translate into 3 points, right? Whatever we train in the week, at times those messages are part of the training. But again, for me, it is at times you have to create certain situations on the field to spark some reaction and some toughness or resilience and that. So at times conflict, we need to normalize the conflict in the team and understand that at times we have to have arguments and we have to disagree in certain things, and that will bring more discussions and bring accountability. And again, that's the system we want to create, a system where everyone wants to do the best, and we know the system, we know the things, and then if you are not doing what we said we were doing, we have to be accountable for those. But again, these type of things for me, you always expect to translate into better performances, especially in the situation that we were talking about. But eventually, again, I feel like the team is fully committed. The team, as much as it hurt me and my coaching staff losing 5 points, it hurts them. You can see them that they were not happy with it, and that's why I feel like they're going to have a good response in Chicago.
And that was Gonzalo Pineda, manager of Atlanta United, discussing a lot of things in his session. Main takeaways from that were the team is disappointed in its past few performances and really want to put out a good performance against Chicago coming up on April 27th. Very important that they make sure that they earn points on the road against a struggling Chicago team that just came off of a listless 4-0 home loss to Real Salt Lake, and they looked like one of the lesser teams in Major League Soccer, a franchise that, and I was talking with, you heard Doug from the AJC, Atlanta Joint Constitution, and also others about and Philippe from the Athletic. I think Chicago, saw a statistic, has missed the postseason 12 in the last 13 seasons, which is darn near impossible in Major League Soccer. And what one of the staff members, I won't say who, was like, it's a struggle making the playoffs because Atlanta is on a little bit of a playoff drought of its own over the past few seasons, but it's not 12 out of the last 13 seasons. You can miss the playoffs for a year or two. New coach, transition of players, that happens. That happens to every franchise at some point. But 12 out of 13 years is major ineptitude for that. But Atlanta obviously is going through its own struggles. But going up to Chicago on April 27th is very important for them to come out, with 3 points. And I think you're seeing in front of us an approach of positivity and focus. But you can definitely tell that the team is frustrated with its early start to the season as far as dropping points and not taking advantage of its opportunities. So we're watching the match on April 27th and seeing what happens, and we'll have a full recap afterwards in another edition of the Original Free Kick. But thanks for listening to this edition of the Original Free Kick. As always, go to the sportsinquirer.net, premier site for news and notes in the world of sports. You can also go to our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Make sure you search for the Sports Inquirer or Sports Inquirer, and all one word, or eMarso2. And finally, go to our various platforms on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and much more. Make sure you subscribe, share, like, and everything that we do. We want to get the subscriptions up, and that is very important for everything. So once again, thank you for listening or watching this latest edition of the show. Until next time, good fight, good night, and be safe.